Hello and welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show. It's the Plymouth 0 Leeds United 2 match review. Not quite instant today, but we're still bringing it just a few hours after it occurred. It was the early kickoff today. It's another win for Leeds in the league. It's 8 straight league victories. I can't really remember another streak like it, to be fair. And the bandwagon keeps rolling. Unbelievable, really. I'm Stephen Brown. With me, as ever, is Jason Booker. Guys, please get your likes in on the video. Get your comments. It was a tricky one today, wasn't it? It wasn't as straightforward as it has been recently, and we're going to get into it all. Jason, welcome on, mate. You're just back from Bradford Park, haven't you, as well, aren't you?
Yeah.
An interesting game there as well. Bit of a wonder goal, so we might have a little chat about Avi later on as well. But just your thoughts on the game in general, mate. Happy, obviously, that it's another win clocked up.
Yeah, clocked the Leeds game and then dashed straight out our house. Thankfully, Abby's literally 2 minutes around corner from my house, so I managed to get to that as well, which was nice. Yeah, I mean, the facts are running into this game, kind of in the previews when we've been speaking about Plymouth. I think I actually picked 2-0 this week. I might have to look back on some of the recordings because I'm pretty sure I called 2-0. For me, there were no surprises. Plymouth have caused us problems in all 3 games. I think they're a really decent little side. I think they've got some good players within the squad. I think they try and play with the best that they've got. They try and make the most of what they've got. They caused us a few problems with the high wing backs. I thought Ash Phillips played really, really well today, and I think he's played well over the other games as well, on loan from Spurs. And yeah, I mean, in the first 10 minutes, we kind of came out and I thought we're going to thump these today. Yeah. But they really got a hold of the game well, did Plymouth, and they started to find ways to hurt us. But all that being said, we still came out of this game pretty much conceding nothing. We obviously didn't concede any goals. And the XG chart that got brought up during the game, 0.02 in the first half XG against us. And then they had one chance in the second half, which were whipped across the box. There weren't much to do. There were a couple of improvised chances that Melier made pretty light work of, really. The free kick. Morgan Whittaker's arguably one of the most exciting wingers in the whole division. And he's done nothing against us in 4 games. And that's testament to the boys and the way that they've played. And as much as I'm giving them props, in the games that they've played against us, especially the cup game, first cup game, and the replay, them two, they scored with like one chance that they whipped in, or a free kick that they whipped in. It weren't a sustained amount of chances that they'd had against us, and that's for us to kind of dead and bury these teams as much as we can. But like I said, I really like them, and I think they gave us a really, really good game today. But again, we're not going to be as soaring best every week.
No.
I keep saying this to you when we're chatting during the game. We can't expect them to just come out free flowing every week and just roll these teams over. Plymouth have not lost at home since October.
Yeah.
They're a good side, and when they're only 1-0 down, they're going to keep sticking in. They're going to want it that little bit more, and I just think we have to be realistic. Again, today it was fairly comfortable. We didn't concede again. They didn't have a shot on target. I mean, if you're classing the Whittaker free kick as a shot on target, maybe, I guess, is one, but it's minimal. And today there were a few players that weren't really at the races, and we still came out quite comfortable 2-0 winners. So,
yeah, it was one of them, and I kind of had to remind myself kind of later in the game about the fact that not every game is going to be like that Swansea demolition job where we just turn up, the goals fly in, everybody's clicking, everybody's on form. I mean, don't forget, we've had a lot of travelling to do. We've gone all over the country, the last month, a lot of games all over the place. And I don't know if that was a little bit of a factor today with certain players. Certain players seem to be off it a little bit, not quite up to their usual standards. We'll get into specifics later on. But yeah, I felt it was below par from what we've seen recently, certainly on this run. But I think it was attritional. I think when you look at the fact, as you mentioned there, that they've not lost a home game since October. And we've had 4 tricky games against them. We've beaten them 3 times, one of them over extra time, but they've not been clear-cut games have not been easy.
Not even the home game. Not even the home game. It was tight, if you remember.
It was, yeah. And it was similar because it's one of those things where, and I think what frustrated me a little bit was we are better than them. And it's almost like we start the game brilliantly. Why are we not keeping at that level? I know it's not possible as a human being. It doesn't work that way. But I just felt almost like, why are we kind of diminishing a little bit as that first half rolled up? Why are we letting them have a sniff, or why are we even kind of letting them control the game? I mean, I think they had more possession for us a period of time in the second half. I'm like, why is this happening? No, stop it. But you kind of have to go, look, like you've said as well, there's two teams playing. They're not turning up just to get beat.
No.
You know, this is a team that are competitive. This is a team that have fighting for their lives. They're not just going to roll over. And I think not all of our players can be perfectly on it. I did think Farker was getting really irate, like towards the end of the first half. There was one particular time where Pirro played a ball and it went out of play. I don't know if it was his fault or Somerville or Jorginho or whoever it was that was picking it up, or maybe even Archie. But Farker was like, I think even Farker thought today, this is annoying, kind of, that we're not quite at that level we've been at. But I'm glad to see it because, he demands the best. We're in a rich vein of form. But the important thing is we've come out with the 3 points, because for me, I know there was a bit of a social media, not meltdown, but there was quite a lot of people after the Southampton result going, oh God, Southampton are, look at them, they're beating West Brom away. And I'm like, when you look at it, if it was Leeds who had lost to Bristol City, you would absolutely be demanding that they win the next game, whoever they're playing. So I'm like, they're beating West Brom away, really difficult game, fair play to them. But we had to turn up today and we've got the result. I mean, I nearly text you, actually. I was nearly going to text you, go, I've got a feeling we're going to drop points. I was like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't put that negativity out there. And we've done it. We've got the 3 points again. So,
The facts are, Brownie, I mean, Southampton going and beating West Brom is no shock. I mean, I kind of felt like they may drop points at West Brom. Of course, what, West Brom are a decent side in this division as well. We're talking about a team that have been undefeated in 25 and then lost one game. Like, they all of a sudden don't become a bad team. They're on the same amount of points as us, or -1 with a game in hand. Like, they're a good side. They're going to come back and win games. So I'm not bothered. I'm really not bothered. For me, if we do what we're capable of, we will end up finishing in the top 2. I've got no doubt about it. Yeah. And we can keep on, if we can keep this level of consistency up, because today we still played okay and won the game comfortably. When we play really well, we win games 4 or 5. That's the way. That's the sign of a promotion team, sign of a champion. Like, you cannot wheel out a 10 out of 10 performance every week. For me today, the big kind of telling point was that Gio was off it, and when Gio's off it, we don't tick in the same way. He wasn't able to pick up the ball in half spaces in the way that he has been doing recently and really driving the team. When he did get on the ball, his touch were bumbly, and when he did make passes, they were a little bit off target. And some of that might be down to fatigue. They have done over 2,000 miles in the last, I don't know, what is it, 10 days or something? I did in the last 5 games, 15 days, I think it is. Fans alike and players like, it's hard graft that, like, regardless
of how every league game as well, hasn't he? He's played every league game, hasn't he, George?
Yeah, and he's basically plays every single minute of it as well. So for me, no problem with a little bit of a lackluster performance if we then still go and win the game. It doesn't matter. And defensively, we're so good. Yeah, like, so good. I mean, I thought, I was speaking in another group chat, I thought Rodon was sensational today, and people were like, "Oh, I think he'd been a bit off today." And I was like, "Why?" Because he got the ball stuck under his feet once in 90 minutes, and he gave the ball away. We had a little bit of a moment, and that was it. Like, it was sensational today. So yeah, for me, I'm over the moon. I'm over the moon with that kind of result and performance, because.
Earlier in the season, we don't win that, do we? No. Earlier in the season, we do not win that game, do we?
Earlier on in the season, that's Stoke. Stoke away, So, yeah, for me, I'm delighted with it. I mean, 8 wins in a row
Yeah.
8 wins in a row in any division at any level of football is unbelievable. And a lot of them we've made them look really easy, and we've conceded 1 league goal. 1.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
crazy.
absolutely. I can see your comments coming in. We really appreciate it. I've got a lot of comments starred, and we're going to get through everything. Trust me. And please do get a like on the video as well. Really appreciate that. Just because you've mentioned about Gio there, let's have a little look at Gio's performance today. Gail, hope you're well. Jorginho struggled holding the ball up, but was involved in the important times. Now this is crucial because watching Rutter. 9 times out of 10 this season, he's just on it, and we know on that half turn, he's powerful, he's quick, he's got unlimited skills, he's unbelievable. But when he has an off day, you can see it kind of straight away. He's losing the ball, he's taking that extra touch or that extra time deciding what he wants to do with it, and it was one of those days. But if anyone was watching it on Sky, he got man of the match, and I'm looking. Yeah, this is what I mean. I'm looking at that performance, going, that's well below what we're used to with Rutter. But then you're going, well, he's got a goal and an assist, and the assist. Maybe some people are thinking, oh, well, it's just he's just kicked it, But we know this man, and his radar is on at all times. And I just think, to me, it's almost more to his credit the fact that he's had a bit of an off day in terms of his general play, but he still comes up with the numbers. He still comes up with the assist and the goal. He's still contributing. We've talked about his shooting all season, but there he goes. He pops up and he gets the goal. It's kind of a strange one because one of the things that I always kind of think, oh, what am I going to say on the review when we do it later? And Gio was having a bit of an off day. I was like, oh, what we're going to say about this? But then by the end of the game, on paper, you look at that and he's got the man of the match. I mean, it's a tricky one, isn't it?
I think there's another thing, and I kind of not told you off, but I burned you about it earlier about bashing Pirro too much. And
we'll have a chat. We'll have a little debate.
We'll get to that. But the point that I'm going to make here is that when he has Pirro in front of him, he then has less space to work in because Bamford drags the defenders away from him. So then Gio then is running into that space. And again, this isn't about whether it's Pirro's fault or not. It's that Pirro doesn't suit the style and the tactic and the formation and number 9 role and all the rest of it. I don't blame him specifically. It's that he doesn't fit the tactic. So I do think that we have to kind of put that into being a bit of a factor when you're thinking about whether you're being critical of Gio today. I still think we can be, because I think there was individual moments that he got wrong, held the ball too long, or didn't hold it long enough, or didn't hold the ball bouncing off him. These kind of moments. But again, we just can't expect a 10 out of 10 performance every week from any player. But the facts are, just like Somerville, because I think Somerville's I think Cree were poor today, but just like Somerville, he can come up with them magic moments which win us games, and he did. I don't for a second think that Rutter's that was just a lump. I think he played it into that space thinking that Nonto could stand a chance of getting on that. Now, it wasn't an accurate, crisp pass or anything, but it's still smart. It's intelligent to take it out of a dangerous area and into a dangerous area for us that could potentially lead to a goal, and it did. And I thought his finish was smart. I mean, he just gets his head down and drills it, but he puts so much power on it that as long as it's not hitting the keeper, it's going to go through him. So he wins us a game today. He's a game winner.
No, absolutely. Just a little mention, obviously, we said about Somerville, not his day really at all. I mean,
It looked tired to me.
Yeah, for me, I know this is kind of, a bit of criticism we've given Farke in the past. I would have liked to have seen Dan James on from about 60 minutes. Not going to lie. I would have loved to have seen him come on either wing, maybe swap Nonto out to the left wing and then get James in there. I mean, just to mention about James as well, man, does he look sharp. That guy is ready for any one of them forwards who drop off or get injured. He is ready to come in and go, I'm getting my place in that team back, by the way. I mean, he came on the run and the clever. Oh, it was so clever the way he got that.
The way that he put his body in between the ball and Ash Phillips. I mean, Phillips was all over the place. I mean, how that ain't a penalty was hilarious. I texted you at the time saying that this referee, I mean, I'm not going to go on about it because somebody's going to end up digging me out that we've won a game and all I say is the referees.
That'd be a certain group that would be.
Yeah, that'd be a certain group. That'd be a certain group. But it was hilarious. I mean, it was just a hilarious decision by the referee. Overall, I don't think he had a bad game, actually, the referee.
No.
Today. But yeah, Dan James looks sharp. You're absolutely spot on, mate. He's fully ready. The second that any of them drop out, he's fully ready. I love it.
I love it, and I want to see that in a game where maybe it's not happening for one or two of the forwards. Get him on for me. Get him on and get that impact out of him. I mean, the way he's hit that free kick as well. I mean, if he's got that in his locker as well, brilliant. But for me, get him on earlier. Get him. We want to use that. And I think Somerville for me didn't really happen today. And I think sometimes for opposition, I think because he's so good, it's almost the mental side, isn't it? Like this guy at any time could put the afterburners on and do us, but it really didn't happen for him. One thing I want to get into, and you've kind of referenced it then, is the Pirro situation, and I'm fascinated to see what people in the chat think about this, because it's a real difficult one, because I think when he switched to the 10 role and it kind of opened things up, and look, I'm going to caveat everything by saying I think Pirro technically and on the ball is what you want. I mean, there was a moment, I think it was first half, where he dribbled past a couple of players, and it's just
he got an assist.
From that, he did. From that point of view, I think he is spot on. But for me, playing up top today, the amount of times just watching him kind of press when the ball's going up and it's in the air and he's challenging a defender, it's like, no, it's not a challenge. For me, he does not set that press or that kind of defensive set from the front at all. And for me, I would like to see Joseph when Bamford's out, because I think Joseph, you've got legs, you've got the pressing. For me, it's almost like, I mean, with Bamford, technically he can be hit and miss, but the way he jostles defenders, the way he gets in the face of the defenders, the way he closes things down, I never feel like Pirro gives the defenders a tough time. I feel like that contributed to Plymouth not getting on top, but being able to play into the game a little bit, because you haven't got that guy diving down their throats. For me, Pirro is a problem at the top of the pitch. I do, and I would prefer to see someone with the legs to really press. But I don't know. I mean,
you know what, Brad? I think the press is.
I was kind of basically just saying it's all his fault that it wasn't kind of.
I think you got to be careful, because today there was other players that were off it. Glenn Kamara had a couple of sloppy passes, and there were moments when the ball were breaking down, or our possession were breaking down in other ways. And I think sometimes when the blame is so obvious, or the problem in their style is so obvious, as in Pirro's position in the team when Bamford's out, it is really obvious. It's then just easy to kind of look at that and be like, that's the whole reason why this is all breaking down today, or why we're not playing particularly well. And I don't think it's fair, because I think there was moments where Pirro were knocking around the corners quite nicely, we're linking in play. Gio had an off day, I thought Glenn had an off day. I didn't think Gruev was amazing in the midfield today. There were several areas. I thought Junior were wasteful at times. I mean, my word, the amount of times that he gave the ball away unnecessarily, So Cree, we've already spoken about. So when you then start factoring in all them, is it then a wonder that maybe Pirro didn't also look as good as what he maybe could have done today if all them cogs were also playing well? That's kind of what I'm getting at. I agree with you 100%, everything that you've said. Aside from the press and the fact that he doesn't press particularly well, the biggest thing that we miss when we haven't got Pat in the team is the stretching the defenders. Pirro can't run off the shoulder of the defender and move defenders around like Pat can. Pat is actually deceptively really quick. He's really quick, and his speed of thought's really quick. He turns sharply. Pirro's a bit of a truck. He lumbers about and turns around. He's very smart. He's a very cute, tidy footballer. But all the things that you've said, I do agree with you. Am I saying that it should be time for Joseph? I'm not sure. I thought today would have been a good opportunity to put Joseph in because he played against Plymouth away, and I thought it was all right. He showed that he could deal with it. So
I think the problem is the price tag, Jason. Sorry to cut you off, but I think the problem is you've paid big money for this guy, and it's like there's no way he's going to not. Especially, I mean, he's been brave as Farker in just dropping him anyway for Bamford.
Yeah,
that is a brave move, in my opinion. But I think with Bamford out, it's like, well, we can't not play Pirot. But for me, I don't feel we function as well, and I don't think it's any kind of coincidence that when Pirot came out of the team and Bamford came in, it just clicked better. And I feel like it sets the tone for the team, what we're doing at the top half of the pitch. And I just don't see it with Pirot. I think he's and I don't know whose fault it is, recruitment, Farker, whatever, but it doesn't quite work as well when he's the focal point like that. It just, I mean, it's like his aggression. He's not aggressive enough for me. When he's jumping up for balls and that kind of thing, it just hasn't got that to his game, you know.
I mean, we can say this until we're blue in the face, but the facts are is he wasn't first choice. We wanted to go out and make a statement number 9 signing or an attacker signing, and we built his whole kind of formula in the summer around keeping Somerville, Nonto, Sinistera, hopefully at the time. You know, we built everything around keeping them players, and that made sense. I mean, we have got so much attacking talent, it's untrue, and that's because we kept players rather than having to go out and sign a replacement. And Pirot, you know, I think was probably second or third choice. We know for a fact he was behind Cameron Archer, and Cameron Archer would have been perfect. He would have been perfect as the number 9 in this system because he is quick, he presses, he's a good finisher. And I think when them options weren't available and then we had to go to Yul Pirot and kind of sell a project to him, I'd still rather have us made that signing than not sign anyone because he's a match winner, he's a goal scorer, he's a predator, like he's a statement signing. You know, he's still scored, I think he's on 10 or 11 goals this season. You know, he's still not doing bad all considering. So, you know, the goal that he scored midweek, it's just a typical kind of Pirot finish. And but it is a tricky one. He's never going to do this role as well as what Pat does. No. And we had this before. We had this before under Bielsa with Eddie Nketiah. Eddie Nketiah is a better player all round, better finisher.
He couldn't do that thing, could he? He couldn't do that thing. What it is that Bamford does, he just couldn't do it.
We brought him in, Brownie. We brought him in time and time again, fans calling for that change to happen. And it never, ever looked as good. Ever did it look as good as when Pat did it.
No, absolutely not. Well, I remember before Nketiah came in, because Pat was missing loads of chances, and it was like, get Eddie in, and Eddie came in, and we didn't perform as well. And then it was like, Pat came in, and it was good again. You know, it was just weird. I mean, as White says here, Pirot is cool and composed in front of goal. We know that. We absolutely know that. Michael Brown says here, can you not play Joseph up front when Bamford is out instead of Pirot? That's what I think. You're getting more of a like for like if you do that, certainly. But then Arthur here is saying Michael not really. Arthur saying it, why though? Well, I mean, for me, for what this team needs and what Bamford does, Joseph is the most similar in terms of what he'll give you compared to Bamford. And I just think
experience, isn't it? It's experience because it is key. Again, we're falling into this trap of go to the youngster. You know, and I'm not saying that Joseph's not a good player, but we don't know just quite how good he is at first team level yet. And you can fire that argument at the conversation as well, in that, well, we won't know that until he's played. But we're in the middle of an unbelievable promotion battle. Do you then risk proven Yul Pirot goal scorer will win you games, or the young kid who potentially could do the job better than him, but might not quite have that experience in them moments that Pirot's going to have? I think it's a tricky conundrum, but I think, again, if Matteo Joseph was a seasoned, you know, a bit more seasoned, 25, 26-year-old, I don't think he'd get quite the clamour. I think it's because he's the exciting youngster. I think this happens all the time. It happened earlier on this season with Darko JB. And, you know, it happens all the time with youngsters. I'm not saying you're wrong, by the way. I just think... No,
it's interesting. I mean, I think what's helped Pirot today is the fact that he swapped to number 10 and he's supplied an assist. Yeah. And he has got that. He can spot a pass, but
it was a really nice pass as well, by the way.
It was. Yeah, it was. But I mean, do you want to go back to that part of the season where it was like
No.
Ghost Perot, where it was like you don't
No.
see him in a game at all, and we're huffing and puffing, and we don't want that, do we? I mean, it has changed. This run has come about since Perot was dropped. There's just no argument to it.
It definitely has. And I mean, I will say as well, we need a little bit of a caveat with it. Is that what the team have started doing better, I think, against the low block. Sorry, two things is started moving the ball quicker, and they've also started pinging the ball in to the attacking plays in and around the edge of the box. There were several times today where Joe Rodon carried the ball towards midfield and even entered into the Plymouth half. We weren't doing that earlier on in the season. It overloads teams. It commits gaps to open up, and Gruev has made a massive difference. Because Gruev's so good technically in that deep lying playmaker kind of role, and Ampadu then can combine with him going forward. Because you say like it's combined with Bamford coming in. That's true, but it's also coincided with Gruev coming in and Stroik coming out. So I said to you before this, from Ampadu's first game at centre back, it gives us that extra deep lying playmaker option. And Ampadu's so good with his left foot that he can spin ball in behind, and so we have definitely changed the style this year, 2024.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's absolutely spot on about Gruev coming in has made a huge difference as well. And it's kind of one of those, I don't know if you call it a happy accident or what, but it was kind of, he was waiting for his turn and he's coming. I mean, even today when possibly he's not quite at that unbelievable level, it's just he keeps things ticking over, doesn't he?
I really like him.
It keeps the engine running, doesn't he? And it feels like, I think we were all kind of scratching his heads a little bit, wondering about this 5 million midfielder from the Bundesliga that Farke insisted on signing. What's he about? Where's he? What's he doing here? He must be getting frustrated, but he's just been patient. He's coming. And now, I mean, if you strike, you're kind of sitting there going, okay, it's going to be a little bit tricky now to get back in, because Ampadu for me is, I mean, when we're talking about player of the season at the end of the year, he's bang up there, is Ampadu, because he's been so good all season, I mean, in the defense. I mean, let's praise the defense, like you've mentioned. I mean, it's another clean. What's that? 7 clean sheets in 8 games.
Yeah.
I mean, it is just phenomenal. With Rodon, it's interesting you mentioned about the Rodon thing as well, because it was one of those things. There was a couple of things on the surface level when you watched it where he may have, I don't know, lost the ball or given the ball away, but there's so much to that role that he's doing. I mean, when it cut, he's one of them players, when it cuts to him as well, he's always talking and having a go at someone. And,
he's never happy, is he? He's never happy. He's honestly never happy. He's always moaning and complaining at something.
He is.
I love him, mate. I mean, this is a bold statement, but I think he's the best centre-back the best defensive centre-back, like proper out-and-out old-school defender that we've had probably since we were first relegated from the Premier League.
Yeah.
I genuinely mean that. Like, I know we've had some good centre-backs come through, but Ben White is obviously the one that would come up, but Ben White was so
polished.
Much more.
It
was a Rolls Royce. He was quicker and he carried the ball out. But in terms of a brute defender, I just think Joe Rodon's so good. He reads the game extremely well. He's great in the air, throws his body on the line constantly. He's just an absolute warrior. Warrior. I love him. And every week because I enjoy watching defenders defend. Yeah. It's quite maybe not sexy, but I love it. I think it's great. And for me, I don't think we see Stroik start another game this season. I really don't, because you cannot disrupt this centre-back pairing. Absolutely not, unless there's an injury to Ampadu or Gruev, which maybe then means that Ampadu goes back into the midfield.
You wouldn't touch it.
You won't touch it, because if Kamara comes out, you put Archie there. And you then play Connor Roberts at right back. So I just don't see it. I don't see it at all. And I think Pascal had some great games earlier on this season. But Ampadu's made a full believer out of me at centre-back. He really has.
Well, this is it, because, I mean, when we watched him at kind of deep lying midfielder, and, his tackling's exceptional and everything like that, his distribution's great, and you thought, this is his position for the season. There's absolutely no way. It's Ampadu and another. And then lo and behold, Stroik gets this injury, which just seems to be kind of niggling and it's ongoing. I agree. I don't think there's any way Struijk gets automatically and walks back into that team. I just don't think it at all. I think as well, what helped Struijk was Rodon earlier in the season as well. I think as soon as you saw Struijk and Cooper at Southampton away, it was a shambles again.
Yeah.
I think that's really key. I think, particularly Rodon, just in terms of the confidence he's given that back line is absolutely huge.
He is without a doubt the most vital cog in the whole team for me.
Yeah,
he is the player that I would want to go down injured the least by an absolute mile. And I love Gio, I love Cree, but they're all, you can adapt around them all more. We don't have another Joe Rodon. Even Ampadu going to right centre back and Struijk coming alongside it just wouldn't even be comparable. I do find it bizarre that we didn't see more of Ampadu's left foot when he was in midfield, because I always thought, like, when watching him in midfield, I always thought he has to turn the ball back on his right foot all the time. He's got a fantastic left foot. I don't get it.
It's crazy. It's wild, isn't it? Yeah. It's like he's just, now he's left centre back. Oh yeah, I can use my.
Yeah, I can use it now.
I can use my left foot. So. 50-yard balls perfectly.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing, Browney. It's not just little 5-yard tempo back. He's pinging balls like diags and everything on his left foot
as well, isn't it? Yeah. It's like a strong foot technique as well, isn't it? Like it's just it's absolutely wild. I mean, elsewhere in the defense as well. I mean, someone that we both I think thought played really well today, Archie again,
my man at
right back. Yeah, I mean, he's just what I loved about Archie today was that aggression in his play, like getting in people's face, and he just had that tempo to his game. And I think that's what I think this is something Farker loves about Archie Gray, is the tempo in his game. He's always at it.
Yeah.
He's really up in people's faces. His technique obviously is superb. Just another solid display again, wasn't it, Jason?
He defended really well as well.
Yeah,
I mean, arguably their best player today was Miller down the left-hand side. He was the only one that was really a consistent threat. And I thought Archie dealt with it really well all game. I think there was one moment where he could have maybe done a little bit better. But that side, like, you're going to have, like, the fact that he's been beaten once in 90 minutes is completely normal. I thought he defended extremely well. And I thought it was quite telling that when there were subs, he brought Connor Roberts on at right wing to then bolster up that side, to defend that side, but he didn't swap him with Archie to give Connor minutes and bring Archie into the midfield. He actually played the two of them together to kind of see the game out. I thought it was quite smart. It'd have been interesting to see if he'd have done that if Jaden Anthony had been in the squad. We don't know. I don't know if we found out why he weren't in the squad or not. But it'd have been interesting to see if the normal sub would have happened. But I thought Connor did well when he came on. But Archie, I mean, it's unbelievable that he's actually kind of made himself first choice right back. I mean, this Connor Roberts comes in, he's arguably the best right back in the division on paper, maybe with the exception of Kyle Walker-Peters, and Archie Gray's keeping him out, and he deserves to keep him out. It's not just a pity kind of selection. He's fantastic. He's playing extremely well every week. So
yeah, and I think. You see with Archie as well, it's the decision making as well. When he's on the ball, he's not panicked. It's not just kicking the ball up the line, or I mean, not to have a go at Firpo, but sometimes with Firpo it can be kind of, you can see the kind of head go, with the pass or the distribution. Whereas Archie, you're getting almost that central midfielder's brain, like at a right back position, and it just absolutely benefits us so much. What about Junior on the other side? Then I mean, the thing with Junior, I mean, as we've said, I mean, when he's coming up on those overlaps, he's got the left foot, he can whip it in, and it aids us in that way. I mean, there's no way he goes to Premier League with us for me. If we go up,
he had a better game today than he did midweek. I thought it was really careless midweek, and sometimes defensively it was constantly caught out. But we need to level this at him. We've just said that Morgan Whittaker is arguably one of the best and most exciting attackers in the division, and we're not seeing anything from him for 4 games. And I think Firpo's played in the last 3. So that being said, he's probably done a good job, and I thought going forward he was all right. There's just moments in there with Junior where he just seems like he just completely switches off. His concentration levels are just unreal sometimes. But I thought he was okay, mate. I thought he was okay today. But he's got Ampadu alongside him, and Gruev helps him. And like I say, defensively, we just have to do so little most of the time. But yeah, he kept Morgan Whittaker quiet, mate. What more can you say, really?
No, exactly. It's a junior, isn't it? Someone I do want to kind of give a little bit of praise to, really, who possibly has kind of had a bit of a tough time over the last kind of 3 months. Not probably recently during this run, but certainly just before this run, is the keeper, Meslier, as well, who, I mean, it's fascinating to look at Mellier's kind of career at Leeds as a whole. Obviously, he was like the wonder kid, and then it all went wrong over the kind of, the Premier League campaign last year, possibly creeping into the year before as well. Started off solid this year, and then there's a few kind of things, a lot of online debate about whether he's the best keeper in the league or the worst or somewhere in between. There was that pass first half where he just like kind of shanked it out, and it was just, it went nowhere. I think you thought Kamara was partially at fault with that as well.
Yeah, he pinged it at Kamara with too much pace, and Kamara then kind of thought, well, this must be for somebody behind me, but there was nobody behind him. So I understand. I can only assume that Meslier meant it for Kamara, but overhit it, which then, again, it's easy to kind of identify that as being Mellier's fault, but I think they've both got to kind of take a bit of culpability with that, because if Kamara tries to control that, it probably makes a better situation of it than letting it run, in my opinion. But yeah, sorry, go on, Karen.
No, I was going to say, but after that, I thought it was solid. You get what you get with Meslier is someone who's comfortable with the ball at his feet. But what I thought was impressive with Meslier today was there was kind of a flurry of like corners and balls getting whipped into that box. And there was one particular corner where he just comes out and commands the area, catches it, and it just completely pours cold water on Plymouth back. And I was like, yes, Elon, I want to see more of that. I want to see more of that, because I just thought that was great. And I thought, what, that's someone who's confident there, because sometimes we've seen Elon, he's on his line, isn't he? And he's sometimes, goal goes in, he's behind his line. And you're thinking, what are you doing? And sometimes he flaps at it. But I thought it was good today.
Elon. I thought it was good today too.
I thought that is what I want to see, because we were under pressure at that time. And if he flaps at that,
there's two things with Meslier. His distribution's got better. It's been steadily improving, and they've found a way to kind of open up an angle for him to arc it round to Archie. I've noticed it a couple of 2 or 3 games in a row now, where they'll make the passes round the side, and then Archie will take up a spot in between the two attackers, so the striker and say the winger, and Meslier will arc a pass round the corner, and it'll get us out. And I think even his long balls, when you think of them playing in them channels, they've been in and around him, like they can't be bang on accurate. I would 100% say that the him punching the ball is instructional, and it makes sense because we're devastating on the counter. So sometimes when you, as a keeper, go up and collect the ball, you then drop down. The counter then breaks down. I think the idea is that he's not great at catching the ball anyway. He'd be better than just punching, and it'll potentially give us opportunities to break on the counter. But that particular one today, you're absolutely right. He kind of saw the situation as, I need to go up and collect this and take pressure off my team. And he did really, really well. I mean, everything that he was kind of asked to do today, he did well. And he spends a lot of time with nothing to do, which is then difficult as a keeper to stay switched on for them key moments. But he has a massive part to play in us building up attacks and starting attacks. So
yeah, he does.
Yeah, for me,
we forget how young he is.
We do.
As a whole, we forget how young he is for a goalkeeper as well, and the fact that he played in front of 2 of the worst back fours, or defenses that you could ever, cope with. I mean, the 2 Premier League campaigns we had, culminating in the relegation, I mean, that defense was about as bad as you can get, and we saw it. It did chipped away at his confidence. It absolutely chipped 100%. Away at Mellier's confidence, and I think. Do you think we've been a little bit unfair on Meslier, possibly, as a fan base?
Probably. I mean, I've criticised him,
so
I'm not going back on that. And I think any player, from a fan's perspective, is there to be analysed, critiqued, and the rest of it. But we definitely have. You know, keepers don't often mature until they're 28, 29, 30 years old. Their prime of the career come early 30s. And Mellier's played, you know, what is it, nearly 200 games? Is it more than 200 games for Leeds United? I think it is now. 22, is it now? 23, something like that. You know, it's an unbelievable amount of games. And you're absolutely spot on. You know, that first season, you know, when we stayed up, last game of the season, and then the season after, we conceded 160 goals or something ridiculous. It was 150 goals. And most of the time, it weren't down to him. The levels of confidence that he must have been through the floor.
Yeah.
You know, we know that he's a good shot stopper. We've seen it. You don't just all of a sudden not become a good shot stopper. No. He definitely did regress. We know that. But there is definitely more than just him and him solely down to that. I mean, the defense that was in front of him was, I mean, it's the worst you've ever seen. So yeah, for me, we were definitely harsh on him as a fan base. I still think we're harsh on him now. I think the second that anything happens, we look to kind of chastise him and blame him. I think he kind of did some of that himself because of the rumours about him leaving and some of the interviews that he had, and tricky. And you know, Diggler makes a point there about him being used as a scapegoat. I think that was kind of a bit of it last season as well. You can't change all 5 of your defenders or all 4 of your defenders if you're playing forward at the back, but you can change Meslier and bring Robles in. And I think that was an easy way. And I agreed with it at the back end of last season. I did. But it's easy stick for fans to beat him with then. So
I think that's an absolutely great point. Is that by Diggler? I think it's one of those things as well, isn't it, where it kind of builds momentum, doesn't it, as well? It's suddenly everything they do is wrong. You know, you're super analysing everything. You know, you're going, oh, he's not done this, he's not done that. When, like you say, he's so vital to our build-up, isn't it? The way we move forward. One fella I do want to talk about, someone who, I mean, the way he's fought back into the Leeds team this season is just remarkable, really, after what was certainly a difficult summer. Wilfred Gnonto, Jason, talk to me about Gnonto. It's 5 goals now, I think, in you know, as many games. He's on a great hot run of form. You know, it looked like he was going to be out of the team, out of the club, even at the start of January. But you know, he keeps turning. I mean, that goal today. Because I was thinking, is that touch by accident? Or is that fluky the way he's kind of, the ball comes up and he touches it against the defender? And then, I mean, is it a bit of both? Is it like, I'm just kind of going to try this? Or
I think the first touch were a bit fortunate. I think, the ball's so high in the air.
Unbelievable if not. I mean, bird camp, isn't it, if it's not?
Yeah, he has to kind of kill it out of the air. But then the touch after that to take him away from the defender is really clever. And then obviously the finish, I mean, he's a bit scuffed, but he gets it back across goal and you know, scores again. And I mean, for me, today was our best attacker. He was the best attacker until he came off. I thought he was excellent. He worked his absolute backside off again. He's a constant threat. He's a constant threat. It's just a shame he's not a tad quicker. He's quick, but he's just not quite quick enough to burn away from defenders. But I really liked him today. I really, really liked him. And it's a great problem to have on that right wing. Great problem to have on that right wing. You know, you could even, I agree with you 100%. I would have taken Cree off at 60 minutes today and brought Dan James on and put Gnonto over to the left.
Yeah.
Because I think you'd have just seen the whole... It'd have leveled us up. Would have created so much more, because Cree was just having a bad day today. He looked sluggish. He looked a bit tired to me. I thought it was excellent today, with the exception of Archie, who was my man of the match. I know Gio ended up getting it, but that's a goal and assisting, and it's on paper. He didn't have a great game himself today, but I thought Gnonto was great.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that work ethic as well, you're seeing it where he's busting a gut to get back in defensive positions, and I think fair play,
100%. I'm gonna have a fight with Arthur here with this Gruev on the bench thing. Like,
let's get into this.
It's going in chat. It's going in chat. I can see CB like arguing it as well. And
is this from this one? Striking Ampadu in middle. Gruev bench Arthur.
No chance.
No, Arthur.
Absolutely no chance.
Season, and you're benching him, Arthur.
I would argue that Gruev is absolutely key right now.
Yeah,
I would say he's absolutely key. I mean, Rodon is, for me, as I said earlier, the most important cog. I wouldn't want to see that cog removed. But Gruev is doing so much off the ball that people don't always see. And then when he's involved and he's break up a play, and it's not just, it's the way that he rotates the play. And I think he's better than Ampadu at it. Like, there's moments where he'll drop a shoulder and he'll turn out. And he'll find a pass into a space that Ampadu would go backwards with. He's so clever, so clever. He's a great player. I love watching him.
Yeah, so come on, Arthur. We're going to need a bit more of an explanation on that one, mate. But we do appreciate you getting your opinions out there. No worries. Let's have a look then at the table. It does make great reading for us. Obviously, Leicester still top, but they've dropped points today.
Brownie, we're coming for him.
Well, we're coming for them. We're getting close. For me, it was massive, the fact that Southampton got a really good win. I'm sure Southampton fans were patting themselves on the back last night going, yeah, that's what we need. That really proves that we're back on the horse and we're going to put pressure on Leeds and everything like that. And it was so key to just, 24 hours later, we're back in second, 2-point lead. You're going to have to go win majority games. Just huge. I mean, the goal difference for me is an extra point, absolutely an extra point, because if it does go down to that last game of the season, we're miles. I mean, we've got a chance of catching Leicester just in terms of goal difference, not even points. I mean, the way we're going on, we don't concede. I mean, if you're Southampton now, Jason, are you looking at Leeds' results just going, oh, this is relentless?
Yeah, I mean, Southampton were, 20-odd undefeated as well. So, they'd probably be, you could question the Leeds players for feeling the same way about the Southampton run. And then, they've lost one game, but they've come back and won on Friday night against West Brom, a tough place to go. So I think the levels that they're at the moment are unprecedented. I really do. Yeah. I don't think we'll ever see anything like this top three ever again. And, I've been guilty of kind of ruling Ipswich out, and I think most people other than Ipswich fans have ruled them out. But
let's get it back on because
they come back with back-to-back wins, mate. When they were really under pressure to kind of get some results. I'm not ruling them out just yet. I do think they will fall away because I just don't think they've got the quality of the three above them. But they're still in there at the moment. And I mean, it is honestly a battle like you've never seen before. And I do think the Leicester result today is really, really important for the game on Friday. Because I said to you last week that I thought Leicester would probably turn up with very little to kind of, without any stress to the game. I thought they would be able to kind of come and kind of enjoy the moment. I don't think they can do that now. Because this game's a bit of a 6-pointer all of a sudden. We go and win that game on Friday. They're only 6 points in front of us. The last time that they lost back-to-back games, by the way, I don't know if you've seen this, was when Middlesbrough beat them and then Leeds beat them at the King Power. The same fixtures again now. Middlesbrough beat them at the King Power. It's harder
now when it coming to Elland Road.
Unbelievable. I mean, right now, nobody has beaten Leeds at Elland Road, and we're in February. So the likelihood is that they come there and have a really, really tough game. And, if Southampton win again next weekend, they're only going to be 6 and 7 points in front of second and third. So all of a sudden, it starts to become a bit of a fight. And, one more slip up, and they're within touching distance all of a sudden. Unless, we keep saying this, and it's not mattered all season. It'll matter when they start losing games. Leicester have not played well all season. They've not played well all season.
That's why there's all this aggro about the fans and the manager saying, "Well, if you're not happy, I'll go." I mean, it's bonkers. Well, it's absolutely bonkers. It really is. I don't know if I agree with this. In a way, I'd sooner Leicester won today. Having lost, they might want to prove a point on Friday.
I don't
get
agree.
what you mean, but
I know what you mean.
Agree.
As well.
I get where you're coming from, like the bounce back effect. But I think, look at like Southampton bounced back from a defeat against Bristol, but Leeds.
I think it puts more pressure on them.
Together.
It puts more pressure on them. They will know going into that game on Friday that if they lose to Leeds, we're in touching distance. 6 points is nothing. It is nothing. And from 15 points or whatever it was, it's gone. That Leeds disappeared. So I'm buzzing that they lost today. I think it's there for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Lee, thanks for your comment, mate. Am I more nervous for the Leicester game because I live in Leicester? It's a pride thing as well as points matter. How does everyone feel everywhere else in the world? Yeah, I've got some relatives actually that are Leicester orientated as well, so appreciate that. But this is the remarkable thing about the run that we've been on. The fact that we could get Leicester down to 6 points this time next week is incredible from where we've come from. And I think you're right, Jason. I think a bit of pressure is building on that side. I don't think it's quite as seamless as it was. No, if you looked at Burnley and company last year, everything was in sync. Everything's in sync. Everything's like, it's like clockwork.
You're playing good football as well.
Playing good football, and it's all working. I think this Leicester thing, I don't know. Look, they've still got a massive gap, but if Leeds do go and get the double over Leicester as well, I think psychologically, it does point to how vital that win was away from home, because I think that at that time we outplayed them.
Yeah,
we almost proved that actually we are the best team in the league. Really,
I think we are. I think when we're fully fit, I think we absolutely are. And I think the start that we got with a couple of hiccups in between, have kind of cost us from being on exactly the same kind of points as them. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not. I've said this for a few weeks now, but I'm not getting myself hyped up by it. Like, I don't see this game on Friday as any more kind of scary or nerve-wracking than I did Plymouth away today. You could argue that Plymouth away is as tricky for us as Leicester at home, because Plymouth, they've shown against us in all the games that there can be a problem. We
played them 4 times. It's like,
Yeah, well, it kind of comes to logic that they would then get a result today.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because they've lost all the others by the draw in the first FA Cup game. Kind of sets the scene that they then either go and draw or win today, especially with the fact that they've not lost at home since October. So getting 3 points today is huge. It's absolutely huge, and we've been good against the teams up and around us, really, with the exception of Southampton. I would say that game. West Brom at home. Earlier on in the season, we definitely deserved to win that game, the handball goal, and West Brom away, we didn't play well. But, on the whole, Ipswich, Leicester, the performance we've seen against them teams has been really, really good. So I'm not particularly worried about Friday. I'm looking forward to it.
No, absolutely. There's a great comment here from Michael as well that puts it in perspective, certainly from looking at Southampton as well. Southampton still have to play away to Leicester, Norwich, Ipswich, Leeds, and home to Preston, Hull, and Coventry, who were in form as well. When you look at the fixtures, they flashed it up on Sky Sports earlier today. You look at the next leads, apart from Leicester, you're playing 18th and below for the next 5 or 6 games after that.
2 Yorkshire derbies, though.
Little
caveat, but I'm not bothered by it, to be honest. I think they're both terrible.
No.
You have to detach yourself from sorry, Steve Downs, but
where's Steve in the chat today? I can't see him in the chat today.
He's gone quiet today.
Have you not got any internet, mate? What's
they're
going on?
They're close to that bottom 3 now, aren't they? Close to that bottom 3. Squeaky bottom.
Was it still Worthington in charge today? Was Worthington still
19th he takes over. New guy. So
it's deflating though, knowing you're not going to do it. Yeah, that's what it is. He knows he's not got the job, so he thought, stuff it.
Stuff it. Yeah, sack him off now.
Yeah, exactly. Couple of comments post match then from Farker. A very mature performance. I'm happy man today. Firstly, because of the result. No team was able to travel away here with 3 points since November. Hopes that Anthony will be back available to face Leicester on Friday. Still not sure what the actual reason is that Anthony's been out. Also, Farker on whether Leicester City can be caught. He says, I've not really thought about it, but they will be in the top 2. So obviously,
I believe him, you know.
Yeah.
I believe him. I don't think he looks at the table. I just
No.
think he goes out and tries to win every game.
Yeah. And he's just looking at his team, looking at his players and seeing who's on the ball and who can do it. So, yeah, it's exciting stuff. Michael Poser's one here. We kind of covered it a little bit earlier. How does the team captain Pascal get back into this team? I don't think he does.
Injury and suspension.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's going to be great. Yeah, as CB says here, personal reasons for Anthony. I think it certainly
makes sense. Makes sense
that way. I'm just going to share LUFC Data's X account because there's some kind of fascinating stats on there, really, and I mean, some of the records that are tumbling, some of the things that we're doing here, Jason, is unbelievable. We've got the Willie Nonto one that I flashed up earlier, but if we go back, I think even if you look at this one, so Leeds are the only Championship side to remain unbeaten when scoring the first goal this season, and they've averaged the highest points per game tally after scoring first in the second tier.
Very Bielsa-esque, that, innit?
Yeah, very.
When he's scoring first.
Yeah. Rutter, an interesting one again. I mean, he's still clocked up like 4 duels won and 7 passes in the final third. He still kind of contributed, even though it was possibly a bit of a difficult game for him. This is remarkable. Leeds have now kept 15 clean sheets in 33 Championship matches under Daniel Farker. The club have only kept more in the first 33 games of a second-tier season once before in the 1923-24 season.
Wow.
So it really is incredible. And Leeds have kept 7 clean sheets in 8 league games in the top 2 tiers for the first time since between January and March 97 under George Graham. I remember the George Graham, that particular George Graham season. We scored about 10 goals that season as well. So that's why we were so, yeah. Another one here, Leeds have recorded 21 wins after 33 league matches of a single campaign for the first time since 1970 under Don Revie. I mean, we're talking about historical numbers here. I mean, you can obviously
some names there, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you can, obviously contextualize it with the fact that we've come down for the Premier League and all that kind of thing. But I do feel with Leeds, it's very different to Leicester and Southampton, the fact that we weren't in the Premier League for 10 years. A lot of those players from last year, not there now. We've had to rebuild in the Championship. I think whatever happens, you've got to look at Daniel Farker's job and just hold your hands up and say, unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, we've spoke about it a lot, haven't we, over the last, I'd say 2-3 months or so. His man management has just been perfect all season, really. Some will argue about Charlie, but the facts is that he's been reintegrated and got minutes again since. He has to be unwavering in his expectations and his management, and the rebuild of players earlier on in the season, like Pascal, like Dan James, reintegration of Pat and what he's been able to deliver this season. Then you go on to Nonto, Cree, even Gio. Gio must have been an absolute puddle at the beginning of the season, given everything he'd gone through, £35 million and the pressure of that on him, and then not playing, and to then be made such a big part. And I just think, Archie, and look at how he's developed Archie. Firpo, you can even kind of give him some props for Firpo too. We're getting Firpo to go out and play 6 games in a row, whatever he's done, 120 minutes against Plymouth in the Cup. He got some knocks today and got up and got on with it. Because I've always kind of thought with Junior, it's in here. It's not really physical. When it comes to his injuries, I think he kind of looks for the easy way out. I don't think he's doing that now. I know that's a bit of a damning kind of thing to say, but he's not going to hear me say that. It's my belief. He's honest with my belief, and I think he's got under him a little bit and been like, "Come on, you need to, whatever he said. You're playing for your future, whatever." Like, I don't think you can say enough.
There's a lot of uncertainty in there with Junior Firpo. His contract expires in the summer.
Yeah.
I mean, He's got a family, everything like that. I mean, these are the real kind of things that happen behind the scenes, isn't it? The fact that he's got a family, it's like, where are you going to be? Where are you going to be living?
Yeah, exactly.
In 10 months, if he has a really good spell, maybe Leeds go, you know what, actually you can be back up left back in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But if you prove yourself enough, I don't know if we're quite there yet, but it's,
no, I think he deserves so much credit, mate. So much credit does Daniel Farke. He deserves it all. And I mean, again, that still doesn't mean that he doesn't get things wrong, because he absolutely does, in my opinion, as a fan, as somebody watching the game. But I said this with Bielsa, he's my hero, but he didn't get everything right.
No.
But you have to stick to your beliefs, because if you waver on them in any way, the players will look elsewhere. They'll lose faith, they'll lose confidence, or the tactic and the style breaks down. And the fact that every single one of them is buying into it, they all buy into what we're doing. So.
No, absolutely. Michael, this is a great point as well. Great credit to the Leeds travelling away supporters of those long trips to Plymouth twice, and Swansea singing their heart out for the team in dreadful weather conditions playing out. I mean, 100%. I mean, I was listening to the radio, BBC Radio Leeds today, and they were chatting to fans, and you talk about fans who are setting off at 2 a.m. You're talking about fans that are paying an absolute fortune to follow the club around. And what makes Leeds United special, a huge part of that is that supporter base that go and do this. I mean, we've got a club where our fans go and do that. They go and get up at 2 a.m. They travel hour after hour. I mean, God knows where they get the money to do this. I don't know how they do it. I mean, fair play to them. Fair play to them. I mean, I think it's unbelievable. I think it absolutely. It's such a huge contribution to why we are a big club, though, because wherever we go, we're so well supported. When we were back in League One, it's still huge, and that away support is phenomenal. The away fans are just phenomenal.
It's nuts, mate. I mean, the season that we got relegated from the Championship to League One, and the first League One season, the minus 15-point season, I went to every game home and away both them seasons. I was only 15, 16, but it was a sensational part of my life. Like, I look back on it really fondly now, thinking about it. Unbelievable times. And the fan base has always been the same, especially away from home. We've had times during the different ownerships at home where the crowds have depleted because of how disconnected it all was. I don't think you'll ever see that again while the club's been run somewhat correctly. We've dropped back down to the Championship, and the numbers, you still can't get a season ticket, etc. But the away days were always chaos. Trying to get an away ticket for some of the away grounds that we used to go to. I remember being on one of the top, I think it was like 400 loyalty that it was for Hartlepool away. It literally, trying to get a ticket was an absolute nightmare for people, because you couldn't go unless you'd been to several games before, because there was so few tickets, and the amount of away fans that wanted to go. Unbelievable times, and they're great. I mean, that season that we got relegated from the Championship, we won 3 games away from home all season. Sheffield Wednesday, I was 15 at the time, I still remember this now. Sheffield Wednesday away, Hull away, so the 2 closest, and Plymouth. Thankfully, thank God, we got relegated, but we beat Plymouth away, thankfully.
We're going to do it, Jason. We're going to get there. We're going to follow them home and away when we're about 50. In his 50s, Jason, I reckon we'll do it when we're in Europe again. We'll make a European tour of it. Like, kids are grown up. We'll be, you know what I mean?
It was kids and my work that stopped me going. Eventually, I will get back to it once the kids are probably grown up a little bit more. But I'd love to, mate. Love to one day.
It'd be unbelievable. Arthur here planned this day for 2 months. Leeds United then watched the Tyson. Was Tyson Fury versus Usyk?
It was meant to be tonight.
Was it meant? Oh,
yeah.
That would have been that. Yeah, that's a shame. That is.
Don't get me started.
Well, instead, got Dancing on Ice instead for Arthur. Get Gladiators on, Arthur. What are you on about? Just you were at the Bradford Park Avenue game, weren't you? And you've just tagged me in some.
I just tagged you in the goal.
I just want to. I want to get this on because it's phenomenal. I've just
love a little finish.
I've just seen this and it's just like this is Bradford Park Avenue today. Let's mute it, but
put it in big. Put it again.
Shall we put it in big? Right.
Yeah.
What's that like? Right, here we go.
Yeah. Corking little finish. Well, basically sat bang, but right behind the cameraman. It was a great finish.
Phenomenal. Bradford Park Avenue, I mean, a quick word on them as well. Obviously, we do chat about non-league, especially Bradford Park Avenue, because we've got Mr. Bradford Park Avenue, Lewis Sale, as one of our non-league correspondents. Things turning around for Avenue a little bit, would you say, Jesse?
3 undefeated. Three games without, defeat. Ashton, good side, up towards the top, towards the top end, just outside the playoffs. Going into this game on back-to-back wins as well. They showed some real good stuff today. They were good. It's the best performance I've seen from an Avenue team down there, I would say, in 2 years. Yeah. Danny Whitaker's done a really, really good job of starting to turn the team around. He's got them playing a particular style. You can see what they're trying to do. The team is just so inexperienced. There's so many young lads in that team. But there's reason for optimism. There's certainly reason for optimism down there. Like I say, it was fun to go down there and watch today. The crowd was all right today as well. Decent numbers, 500 and odd. I've seen it down to 200-300 there at times. So it's
strikes me as Danny as well. He's like doing like 7 jobs. Do you know what I mean? He's like doing several. It sounds like he's just absolutely busting a gut to make it work.
He's doing everything that he can. I fully believe that. I think they've got the right man there, 100%. And I hope they stay up. I really, really hope they stay up because, trying to rebuild in the division below will be tricky. If they can maintain this league status and start to build, they can be back in a promotion picture-ish, towards the playoffs, I would say, over the next 2 seasons or whatever. So, yeah, good to see. It's good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Another word just on something that's happened today is Calvin Phillips, red card for West Ham. 2 yellow cards, got sent off. West Ham have lost, I think, as well. They've lost against Nottingham Forest, and they're on a terrible run. Got absolutely smashed by Arsenal last weekend. Will Moyes stay? I don't know. But, I mean, Leeds old boy, one of my favourite players from the last kind of 10 years or so as a Leeds fan, Calvin Phillips. I've got a lot of affection for him. I was praying, hoping that this move was going to be the one for him. It made sense on paper. You're looking at it on paper going, that makes sense. That move makes sense. It's going to go amazingly well. He's going to be back in the England squad for the Euros, and it's just all going to work out. But, it's just going from one disaster to another. He's making mistakes in games. He's now got sent off. 2 yellow cards in 4 minutes. I read somewhere. I'm like, this is crazy. Why has the tide turned? Why is it going against him so much? I just feel for him completely.
It's getting hard to defend him a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's getting a bit like we're just defending
just look biased, though.
You just look biased. It's exactly what it is. He's had a long time out of competitive first team football on the weekly. That is one thing I will say. And I said this the other week when we were talking about in the debate show about the academy graduates. His skill set is so specific, and I think at the moment David Moyes is trying to play him and James Ward-Prowse in a double pivot, or specifically in the centre. He can't do that role. No. He's a number 4 right in front of the back 4. He needs to play that role. And
he's done it at England, though, didn't he? He did do the double pivot with Declan Rice, though, didn't he? And it was kind of... And I know it's different at international level, but...
The game's so much slower.
Yeah.
The game is so much slower at international level. He almost is perfectly suited for international football. That is exactly what he kind of is made for. He's very, very role-specific, is Calvin. I love him. I do as a tackler, defensive midfielder who's spraying them balls to Rafinha and Jack on either side. I don't think there's many better, but the more you want to give him as a responsibility, the more difficult he's going to find it and the worse he's going to look. And, the way that West Ham play, it don't really suit that number 4 picking that ball up in that spot.
This is harsh from Diggler here. KP did pretty well for us, but I don't really rate him, to be honest. I don't like saying that out loud. Robbing KP, paying for the mistake of leaving for the bright lights.
I don't agree with that. I'm not.
What I think is annoying about it, and I think because he was only ever really linked with Man City, wasn't he? That was the only one that kind of came about, wasn't it? And I just think Guardiola would have known kind of ahead that this guy was not going to be up to the technical level that he demands. I think at the time, though, Rodri had not quite exploded into the player that he was, obviously. But yeah, I mean, it's. I know what Digler's getting at because we saw him under Marsh and it was nowhere near as effective when he kind of did play. But like you say, that kind of double pivot role just is not him at all, really. No. Yeah, it's tricky. I feel for him.
You know, KP in Premier League season 1 was fantastic as well. Like, he's shown that he's able to do it at this level. Yeah. Was he ever a Man City level? Probably not. No. But no. I can't help but kind of really stamp on this attitude of he was wrong to go to Manchester City. He thought the grass was greener, blah, blah, blah. Like, come on. You're Jayson, talking about generational wealth and the opportunity from a career perspective of going on and playing for the best manager with the best players. And he's won more. Yeah, fine, the minutes were minimal, but he's won more than he would ever have won anywhere else, just in that one season.
Wait, Jason, I remember at the time, before Christmas of that second Bielsa Premier League season, new deals were being talked about for Rafinha and Calvin Phillips because we were still at that point. We had the shine of finishing 9th in the league. We looked like we're going somewhere as a club, and because the ownership was just too small, and there was no ambition really. There was no way of really stepping. If we'd have had the ambition, if we'd have had the 49ers, maybe then we might have been able to say to Rafinha and KP, look, we're going places. We're going to the moon. We're going right up. I mean, Rafinha was. I remember Rafinha new deal at Leeds, and it was like it was there in our hands, and because
just before Bielsa was sacked, it was before the January, wasn't it? The January that Bielsa got sacked, it was in and around then. It was pretty much a real noise that Rafinha was going to sign a new deal.
Absolutely,
yeah, huge waste, mate, huge waste, and KP, Bielsa shot, buffed his star to be shinier than it's probably ever going to be again, ever would have been, ever, because he's a perfect manager, perfect position, perfect system, the 4-1-4-1, and everything that was then built. The problem that he's now experiencing is that he can't adapt his game to any other style to look that good again. That don't mean that he's not a Premier League player, but he just won't look that good ever again. And that's just the way that it is, unfortunately. He's not the first player that's like that.
No. Warning to Archie Gray when he looks at KP. Bellingham made the right move to Dortmund, who have a reputation of playing young players like blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I mean, good comment there. I mean, Archie, I think he's a different prospect to KP. I think, obviously, KP was a lot older when his career happened for him, really. I think, Archie at his age. I mean, I get it, though, because I think, really, when you're a footballer, you want to be playing football. I think, Archie really can. I think whoever comes in as a manager for Leeds, let's say we get promoted, it don't work out with Farker, I think they'll always play Archie because it's that connection and he's got the talent, and it's like, I do get that. I totally get that.
I think we need to be careful on that. I actually need to look at KP. If you're good enough, you'll play. Pep Guardiola was insistent that Phil Foden doesn't go out on loan. And fans were screaming, I should be playing, I should go out on loan. No, he developed him. And Phil Foden, came through from being young and played week in, week, or plays week in, week out now for City, and has done for a period of time. Liverpool, if the talent is good enough, they'll play. Look at the young lad at right back. Harvey Elliott is another good example of it. It's down to the talent.
Yeah.
But you cannot blame a 26, 27-year-old Calvin Phillips for taking that opportunity after turning down several others before. So many Leeds fans get so vexed by him leaving for that opportunity. It's nuts. It is nuts. That is the mindset of some of it. I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Yeah. Just before we go, I've just seen this. I'll just be interested to get your take on this. Michael Beale at Sunderland. Have you seen this, Jason? Player coming off. Look at that. Beale is just not interested at all.
Wow. Who is it?
I don't know who the player is.
I mean, he's been getting it constantly, hasn't he?
Horrible, like appointment. That is, Jesus wept. Honestly,
imagine having that kind of disdain for your players when you want them to play for you. It's bizarre, isn't it? Bizarre.
Absolutely awful. Just before we wrap up, then, Jason, final word. Leeds United. It's a huge run of games now. 3 games. Kind of really massive games for very different reasons. We've got Leicester, top of the table clash. It'll be first versus second, followed up by just a small matter of Chelsea in the FA Cup. And then obviously a West Yorkshire derby against Huddersfield the weekend after. So games with high stakes, but we've got no reason to fear them. We should go into it with every confidence, shouldn't we?
Absolutely. KP has been sent off before. He got sent off against QPR away. I remember it's clear as anything against Sam Fielding or Field in the midfield. Yeah. Anyway, it kicked him up absolutely destroyed him at end of us losing 1-0 first season under Bielsa. Massive games, mate. Massive games. Every game's huge now, isn't it? Every game is of vast importance to go and take the points. And I think, all we can do is turn up and keep on playing to the very best of our abilities that we've shown that we can do. If you can win 8 games on the bounce in this division, you are a top side. And there's no reason why it can't go on and on and on. I mean, it'd be an unbelievable result if we go and beat Leicester on Friday on the back of winning 8 in a row. But the facts are, it's only just one more game. It's just, if we'd have not won 8 in a row and just isolate this one game down, you'd be saying we stand a good chance of winning it. At home, I'd back us against anyone. I'd back us, I'd almost make us a favourite against the bottom 7 of the Premier League. If we were to play them in the FA Cup, if we were to play Chelsea at home, I probably won't make us favourite, but I'd say we'd stand a really good chance of winning the game. So I think we just keep on going, mate. We keep on going. They're all going to be interesting games. We just need to enjoy them as much as possible. Friday, I think it's going to be electric. I think it's going to be a really, really good game.
Guess who's missing it?
I know. Well, my dad lives in Bristol, and I haven't seen him since 2022, and he's coming up on the Friday, so I'm hoping he gets here after the game.
Is he a Leeds fan? Or?
Yeah, he's a Leeds fan.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch it when he gets here, but it'll be a bit of a distraction. But I won't be able to do the review if you wanted to do one anyway. Maybe we could do a review on the Sunday. We could get together.
We'll get our thoughts together, won't we? Yeah, it's kind of I always miss one.
Everything to be excited about, Leicester, Chelsea especially. I never really enjoy the Huddersfield game. I don't. No. I enjoy beating them, but I enjoy it at the 95th minute when it's over and done with and we've beaten them. For me, it's a pain of a fixture. I really don't like it. There's just nothing to gain out of it. It's not fun. Fingers crossed we can enjoy them 2 games. I fancy us to beat Leicester. I fancy us to beat them comfortably as well, if I'm honest. 3-1. I think we'll concede 3-1. I think
I love it. Do you know what? I actually think, I'm not saying we're going to win, but I think it's going to be an unbelievable game.
I think it'll be a really good game.
I think we're really going to have a few shocks for them. I really do.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying we're going to win or anything like that, but I think they're going to be surprised by what hits them.
5th round, does it go to a replay? If there's a draw, I'm sure at some stage it goes to extra time penalties on the same game.
5th round FA Cup replay. Let's have a look. There are no replays from the 5th round onwards.
Yeah, so who says that we can't go there and
bring it on?
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's gonna be fascinating. A little kind of test for how we'll get on the Premier League as well potentially.
Arthur's just mentioned Millwall game there. It's been changed to the Sunday. I see that earlier on. Just to mention Millwall briefly, they are dropping like a stone. I'd be surprised if their manager sees that game. I mean, at the moment, they're a point below Huddersfield, and Huddersfield are in real trouble. QPR won again today. Sheffield Wednesday won again. So there's a bit of a battle going on down at the bottom now. It's quite spicy. I'm looking forward to hearing Downs there. I'm telling you, this management change could be a masterstroke, but it could also be an absolute car wreck as well. It's risky.
I don't fancy it because I just think at this time of the season, halfway through February.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Not
I'm
bringing
not
anyone
sure.
to fit your style.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Never managed in this kind of this country before or anything.
No.
It's huge risk. Poor Downsy as well. He was so excited, wasn't he, as well when it came through. Never mind, mate. Never mind. Might work out. Good stuff. All right. Well, I want to thank everyone who's watched along live with us and been commenting. Really appreciate that. Please remember to pop your likes on the videos. If you watched again later as well, please leave a comment what you thought on today's game and some of the topics we've been talking about as well. Myself and Jason, we will be back on the Monday night review as well. We'll be chatting about all our teams across West Yorkshire. So please do catch up then and subscribe to the channel for all our content across the region as well. I've been Stephen Brown. With me has been Jason Booker. Jason, thank you very much, mate.
You are very welcome, my friend.
What are you watching then? It's no Tyson Fury fight. What's on the agenda instead then, mate?
I don't even know if there's any boxing on tonight. My takeaway is 3 minutes away. So that's going to be a beautiful time. And it wasn't even done on purpose either, guys. That was just seamless. I've not even mentioned it to Brownie. We're having Greek food tonight.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Very nice. So that'll be the agenda, mate.
Lovely. Jubbly. Sounds good. And we'll see you all again next time. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.